I definitely want to turn the attention away from that situation and talk about what would have happened had you stayed on in Winnipeg, because obviously it was a tough road in Winnipeg. The team was going through a rebuilding process, and I just sort of want to get into your head a little bit as to what you would have done furthering on down the road with the Blue Bombers.
Well, I was very, very excited, and a lot's been lost in the fact too that I was given a vote of confidence by the Blue Bomber board of directors and the Lyle Bauer, the president at the time, and was sent to the general managers meetings in Las Vegas prior to the incident in Philadelphia, and so everything was moving. We felt internally in the right direction. I had a terrific coaching staff. You're very fortunate in Edmonton there now to have Rick Campbell and Mark Nelson both on your staff, because I've worked with a lot of coaches in a lot of places, and there aren't two guys that I respect any more than those two. And Manny Matsakis, I had officially made him the offensive coordinator. And I thought he had done a great job as we were trying to accentuate the positive factors of Michael Bishop. And I don't think Michael ever got the credit that he deserved either, because we basically yanked him off the couch, and we went 6-7 with him down the stretch. And if we win that last game against Hamilton when we sold the stadium out, we would have clinched second place in the division and had a home playoff game. And it really was a do or die type of game, and you can't throw interceptions for touchdowns, and that's what Michael did in that game, and ultimately we lost it, and I think that was certainly a factor in my release. But we felt like we had a lot of the pieces in place. We had a good blend of veterans and younger players. Our running game was as good, if not the best in the league, and we just didn't throw the ball very well. And some of that was, Michael could be, when he was on, he was as good as anybody. When he was off, it was a struggle. But we were going to look at bringing Michael back, but also bringing in another quarterback. And I had discussions with several general managers in the league about certain players that we wanted to see if we could have a discussion about making a trade and bringing them in, and we certainly wanted to explore the opportunity of what was the health of Stefan LaFours after having his shoulder operated on. So on the offensive side, I thought we had a good offensive line. We had given up the fewest sacks in the league, and people say, well, you threw it the fewest. Yeah, but if you look at per attempt, we were still the least amount of sacks in the league, and we needed to upgrade our receiving core a little bit, maybe get one more player in there with some top-end speed. But we thought we were on the right track there defensively. We needed to take a good hard look at finding another middle linebacker. We still had a lot of faith in Ike Charlton and our Sam, but we probably would have looked to maybe bring in somebody there that would eventually take his spot. And Ike, we felt, still had an opportunity maybe to even play a field side halfback or field side corner. Because you need those veterans in there that can get your younger guys lined up. And sometimes you have to sacrifice a little speed and athleticism
for character.
For character, for the locker room, for just getting the guys lined up properly and playing with some poise in the fourth quarter when you need it most. And, I think that's where some teams fail. They get all wrapped up with, this kid can run this and he can lift that, and then they don't know how to play the game in the fourth quarter, and you need those veterans in there. And our special teams were solid. Alexis Serna had the best year of his career with us, and it was because of the way he was handled. And, there were still, obviously in 1 year you can't clear out all the cancerous cells, but there was still a couple of veterans that just needed to go, and we would have done that in the off season. and but I really have a lot of faith in John Murphy, who's now selecting players for the Calgary Stampeders, and with my connections, in the NFL, I just felt that we were right there on the cusp of getting to where we wanted to be, and we had a 1, 3, and 5 year plan, and I think we were on track, and we were 7-11, and really felt like with a little bit of maneuvering of the roster here and there, and an evaluation of our schemes, and we had a plan of having the entire staff. We were going to go off on a retreat, particularly the coordinators and myself, and just say, hey, what do you have trouble defending, or what do you have trouble executing against, and really bat it around and revise what we were doing. But we felt like we were on the right track. We had a good thing going in the locker room and in the building. And like I said, there was only 1 or 2 cancerous cells that we felt were self-serving that needed to be eliminated, and we would have done that off season.
Now, Mike, watching the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in your coaching tenure, in the interest of full disclosure, I'm a Hamilton native and actually an Argos fan. And I remember the days of Michael Bishop in Toronto. I never saw the progression in him as an Argo like I saw under you and your staff. And despite the fact that there were some criticisms put the way of the plan you guys had, it did really look like the Blue Bombers were making progression, and since that time, it really looked like they took a step back after your run as the coach.
Well, Manny Matsakis, who I have tremendous respect for, was on the staff, and Manny had been a wide receiver coach at Kansas State, where Michael, was a runner-up in the Heisman voting, and so Manny and I got on the phone with Bill Snyder, the legendary head coach there at Kansas State, and we simply asked him, what can the kid do and not do, and how do how does he respond to different ways of coaching? And Michael was drafted in the same draft as Tom Brady by the New England Patriots. Now, if the New England Patriots are going to draft you, chances are they have a pretty good idea that you can play the game of football, and
that's for sure.
So I had a couple of friends in the scouting department there, and I called them and I said, tell me what you guys saw in Michael Bishop. What's good, and why did you eventually let him go? And with Stefan's situation where he was getting his shoulder operated on, we had to put our eggs into the Michael Bishop basket. And so what we did was started to modify our approach offensively to fit what Michael can do. And to me, that's coaching. I don't want to hear that, I run this system or I run that system. What you do is you fit your scheme to what your personnel is capable of executing, and that's what we did. And to Michael's credit, when our darkest days when I was with the Bombers were unfortunately against Saskatchewan. They were the only team in the league we didn't beat, and we didn't play very well against them, particularly in the ridiculously named Banjo Bowl.
Yeah.
And that's really where public perception started to turn. But yet, at that point in the season, the Argos folded the tent completely, and we started to rise and stuck our nose right in there, and we beat Edmonton, we beat Montreal, we beat Hamilton, and so we were right there in the mix, and I felt quite competitive down the stretch, and the fact that we sold out the stadium the last game and we're really playing for something.
Spectacular.
It gave us great pride in that we were holding this thing together. And I talked about Facebook earlier. I'm just humbled and overwhelmed by the number of former players that get a hold of me on Facebook and are positive about their experience under our regime, if you will, there in 2009.
Yeah, and that's actually where I wanted to take the conversation next. Before we let you go, Coach, is What is next for Mike Kelly in football? Are there offers on the table? Are you actively looking right now to become involved with another organization? Because off the top of my head, I can think of several organizations, both north and south of the border, that would be extremely happy to have a football mind such as yours on staff.
Well, I appreciate those kind words very much, and I've been a football coach for 30 years, and I've gotten way too much sleep in the last year and a half.
That's probably the best description I have ever heard of it.
Well, I'm used to 5 hours a night, and now I actually get 8, and that just seems bizarre to me. But I'm absolutely energized. I'm more excited than ever to get back in. I don't want my coaching career to end in this manner. I'll be better my next time around in every aspect of handling situations. And I did some consulting work last year for an NFL club, doing game advance work on personnel and schemes for them. They would. I'm actually in Winnipeg right now, and last fall when I was up here, they would actually send me discs here in Winnipeg, and I'd break them down and then write my reports and email them back to them in the Meadowlands and a few other places. So, it's just I really hope that people can put aside the situation that I found myself in, which was irrational, juvenile, and quite frankly insane, and look at my body of work as a football coach over the years, and give me another opportunity again. And whether it's I'd like for it to be on the coaching side, but if it was administratively, I certainly have gotten experience in that too, and I'll go in and I'll be a good hire for somebody.
Well, Coach, Rouge Radio has your back. We will support you all the way, and we hope to have you back on as much as possible to help us analyze and break down football at all levels in Canada, if you would be so kind.
I would love to do that, and as a matter of fact, I've been approached by a few radio stations to do just that this CFL season, so I'd love to assist you guys in any way that you would like me to.
Oh, that would be absolutely fantastic. Coach Mike Kelly, thank you so much for being on with us, and we hope to have you on again as soon as possible.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
For Rouge Radio with Mike Kelly, this has been Reed Duffy. Thank you for listening.